Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Community Trail Running Podcast. I am your host, Adam Lee. Thank you once again for joining me. So many podcasts out there, and I so appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with me. Today's going to be a little bit different. It's a solo episode. I've been on Substack now for 1 year. So we're going to go over the past year a little bit, talk about just some nerdy little inside stats for anyone that's interested in that kind of thing, and also what and where the podcast is going to go into year 2. I thought it would be just kind of fun to take a moment and appreciate everything that's happened in the last 12 months. It's pretty cool that it's been 12 months already. Thank you all for all the amazing support coming along for the ride. The growth has been incredible, way more than I ever would have expected. All of you are out there just like sharing it and loving it, and it's so cool from my end to have that. So thank you all very much. When I started last November, the pie in the sky goal was to get 1 subscriber a day, and we are just over 600 now. So that's pretty cool. Obviously way more than I would have ever expected. There was a huge surge when Substack featured the newsletter as part of their On Substack feature, and that was really cool to be a part of. I got a bunch of you from that, which was amazing. Substack recommendations also has brought in a lot of subscriptions, and that's where other writers on Substack recommend your newsletter, and that's pretty cool and a huge honor when someone does that for you. So it's very, very awesome that Cole Noble, Sarah Lavender Smith, Ron White, and James Maynard, as well as a few others over the past 12 months have done that. So that was really cool. Thank you all for that. Some other places that subscribers have come from include Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I don't have a Facebook page for the Community Trail Running newsletter, but that's just other people who have been sharing it. So thank you all for that. Twitter was really good when I started reaching out to you over direct messages, seeing if you had subscribed already. And if you hadn't, giving a link. I really appreciate you all coming along from the ride over there. That's been great. And LinkedIn and Reddit, I post on there quite a bit. Reddit, I've been trying to figure out what sticks and what doesn't. And frankly, I've gotten quite a few clicks from Reddit, but not any subscriptions. And LinkedIn, I've gotten fewer clicks and no subscriptions from there as well. But it's been kind of fun to share the growth on LinkedIn and kind of do it a little bit differently over there, as opposed to just sort of featuring what's on the newsletter, kind of trying to highlight how we're trying to grow the newsletter as well. So I'm enjoying reaching out to all of you, however it is that I can reach out to you, and hearing from you has been especially awesome. It's so fun when I get a little bit of feedback from a post and hear whatever it is you have to say. It's just fascinating with the entire world at our fingertips to have messages come in from all over the world. So thank you all for reaching out. A big part of the reason that you've reached out is because of the podcast. That's been really fun for me to make, to have such awesome guests who are so excited to share their knowledge with everyone has been fantastic for me. It's amazing to sit there and pick someone's brain and know that we can share and learn all together. So the podcast, this is episode 25. Substack shows that 28 episodes were published this year, but a couple of those were trailers, and then a couple of other ones were me setting up what the newsletter was all about. But not too bad with the goal of putting something out every couple of weeks. It seems like we accomplished that, which was fun. One of the first episodes that received a lot of traction from Reddit was actually episode 12 with Scott Snell. He was the last trail runner standing from the Capitol backyard, and he had a great story to tell. It was so much fun to hear that.
Her mom got on the phone, and her mom's like, "Who the F are these guys that are still running? What the F is this?" And I was just like, "Oh, come on." I'm like, they're other ultra runners, you know? We're not even at 100 miles yet, you know? It's like, I'm done, but they're not done. So that's just how it played out that day. And
Scott's a humble guy. That podcast was downloaded over 150 times in the first 24 hours. That was the first real big one that came out, and that was really cool. Scott's a hell of a runner too, so it was awesome that he was featured and got to tell his story about the backyard. He eventually went on to run for Team USA as well. That was just recently too, as part of the Backyard Challenge. So very cool to have shared that story. The American Trail Runner was a hit on the podcast. And speaking of America, USA is number 1 when it comes to who's been listening to the podcast, which I didn't expect. 48% of you call the USA home, and 30% of us call Canada home. So that's kind of cool. I didn't expect the split to be that big. We've got friends in the UK. They're worth a nickel's worth of that percentage pie. And finally, Germany and France are worth 2% and 1% each, respectively. So pretty cool that there are listeners all over the globe. 49 other countries have had episodes downloaded within them, apparently, allegedly. So we'll take the data from Substack for what it's worth there. Either way, it's pretty cool how widely it's been downloaded. And also, as the year has gone on, right now the average is right up to around 90 downloads in the first 7 days. So it's pretty cool to have had such great growth so quickly. And thank you all so much for participating. It's been amazing. I didn't think as many of you would be listening through the browser and through the newsletter specifically. 59% of listeners come through that way, 20% coming through Apple, 3% through Overcast, and only 2% from Spotify, which really shocked me. I didn't think Spotify would be quite that low. Wherever you listen, you've been rating and subscribing. Thank you very much. If you haven't done that and you could, I would really appreciate it. It definitely helps to be able to find guests who have such a passion to share their knowledge. Has been amazing, and I can't wait to keep doing that into year 2. The reason the show gets downloaded so much is because of all the amazing guests, and we're definitely super grateful here. Before a podcast ever gets to your ears, I thought I'd give a little bit of a dive into how that works. There's quite a bit of work that goes into a 15-minute episode. Everything starts with pre-production. That's about an hour or two's worth of work. That's when I contact potential guests. Once I nail someone down, I got to research the subject. I got to research the person, figure out what we're going to talk about, and then I write questions and an introduction, send that off to them to make sure that they know what's coming up for the interview, so that when we do talk, it's as informative as it can be during that 15 minutes, because we don't want to waste time thinking about responses. So that's what makes pre-production work as smoothly as it can for me. Production's real easy. That's when we just hook up with the guest on Zoom. That usually takes about half an hour at the most, and that's for me to go over everything with them beforehand to make sure that we're on the same page, record everything, and chat a little bit afterwards to let them know when it's going to be published and that sort of thing, but also just to chat some more and hear about what else they have going on. It's always nice to catch up. So that takes care of the production. And then post-production is also like an hour and a half to 2.5 hours worth of work, because you've got to edit the podcast. I do my best to make it sound as unedited as possible, because I don't want to have it feel like it's heavily edited. That's why I try and take care of the timing during the interview so that you can just listen straight. But I do get rid of ums and ahs and that kind of thing, just to make it sound a little bit cleaner. Once everything's edited, I've got to write the newsletter that will become the podcast notes. Make sure that everything is clickable and linkable and it goes where it's supposed to go, all that good stuff. I also then create the graphics that you may or may not see. I have a good time creating them. I usually use Canva. That's when I'll take a picture that the guest provided me and get the episode number and all that good stuff on there. And I've been doing it in GIF format because, like I said, I have fun making a cheesy little animated image as part of it all. And then, of course, I've got to promote everything on all the social media channels available. That's where you've probably come in some way or another. And through all of that, finally the podcast is out into the world. And then it's kind of a weird feeling because you do all of that and then it's just there and you just wait to see if anyone clicks on it and basically turn the page and start working on the next one. So I enjoy the process. It's a lot of fun. It comes and goes fast. I knew there would be a lot of work that was going to be involved in it, but I'm surprised each and every episode how much production there is to do. The production is a lot of fun for me, though. I'm finding my feet with it, I think, and all the guests have made it so much fun for me. So I'm really excited to keep going into year 2 and learning more, and who knows who the heck we're going to talk to, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I also decided here going into year 2, I turned on the option to pay, to make subscriptions payable. I did that after careful consideration because I didn't want to just rush into it. If you contribute to the newsletter, you're going to help this thing grow. You're going to help it evolve, the entire community. Nothing is going paywalled, though. That's not the point. But for those who want to contribute, the option is there, and the income will allow the show to grow, get better on the technical side. As I said, I didn't make this decision lightly. I'm not going to paywall anything, but I just thought if we can make it even better, why not? And this is sort of a way to see if that's out there. Paid or not, the plans for year 2 are simple. Going to continue to create content and add value to one of our favorite things, which is, of course, the trail running community. The goal in the beginning was every 2 weeks. That still feels like a good pace. Might go heavier on podcasts as opposed to written pieces, as I've really enjoyed doing the podcast. Not that I haven't enjoyed the written pieces, but I just feel this way I can make sure I'm choosing ones that do add value, and then I'm not just trying to cram stuff out. So that, combined with how much fun I'm having chatting with guests and doing this podcast production, makes that kind of a natural fit. One of my favorite running pieces from the last 12 months and from collaborating with all of you was when I did the Trail Running is the Best 2-piece story. That was when a whole whack of you told me what trail running meant to you, and I kind of took them all and stitched them together as a somewhat coherent story. It was a lot of fun to do, and that's the kind of writing that I want to do here, is involving all of you and doing things in a unique way. You've also provided, trail running tips and ultra running tips for each other in the past, and that's what we're going to try and do here is do that in a fun way too. So we're not just talking at people, but we take those tips and make them fun. Those pieces were so much fun for me because I got to read what everyone said trail running meant to them, or what the tip they had to offer up was, and to hear all of you from all over the world submit these things, and how cool it was that everything was kind of unique, but trail running is obviously the same around the world. So it makes the community feel really small in that way, but in a really fun way. We're all kind of fighting the same fight and doing it together. So that's what makes the newsletter and the podcast so much fun for me, is this entire community aspect to it. That's what's going to continue to drive this thing too, is all of us doing it together. I cannot tell you how much I thank you all, how much it means to me that you're here, that you support this thing. I can't wait to keep doing it. Get online, check out the newsletter and the written piece as well. There's a little bit in there that I didn't get to on here, so maybe some little nuggets in there you didn't catch. But today, the main point on this entire episode is for me to thank all of you for the past 12 months, and I can't wait for the next 12 months. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are all the best. Huge thank you to the over 600 subscribers now for community trail running. Shout out to race volunteers everywhere. I'm Adam Lee, and until next time, this is Community Trail Running.